Hey, y'all, JR here with the Veterans Ranch Show. Welcome to another great episode. We've got a fantastic guest here today. Really happy to have him on the show. As you know, the Veterans Ranch is based here in Lakeland, Florida, also in the great state of Texas, soon to be nationwide, where we do equine therapy for veterans and their families. Simply put, we get you playing with horses, help you lay down heavy coats of burden and start to walk off a new and improved version of yourself. So again, you can always find us at the Veterans Ranch or theveteransranch.org. You can always find us in those places. And you can always email us at contact@theveteransranch.org to reach out to us there. Um, Hey, again, as always, I am your producer, co host, general chief cook and bottle washer to get stuff done. Just want to get right into introducing our guest today. He goes by Mr. Tenacity. Y'all know him as Chad Osinga. Chad is a retired Army sniper. He's got so much cool stuff. I got to read it, folks. Retired Army sniper and combat applications instructor. He's had the unique opportunity to teach and train every branch of the military, FBI, U.S. Marshals, DEA, and SWAT teams from various areas. Absolutely amazing individual, guys. I just want to bring him right in here. Chad, thank you for coming on the show today, buddy. Glad to have you.
Man, I'm glad to be here. I really am.
I tell you what, you just reading your bio just makes, anybody ought to read this, just ought to be like, holy shit. It's just like you have done some amazing stuff, brother. Why don't you kind of share with us, obviously I read a little bit of your bio there. Share with us who you are, what you've done, what you're doing now, and then let's just kind of get into it.
Yeah, man. So, again, thanks for having me. I'm real excited about being here. I grew up in a small town in Virginia, Shenandoah Valley. Didn't have a lot of money growing up, and I joined the Army out of desperation. I'll be honest. I didn't have a lot going for me at the time. My mom was a drug addict, and she ended up passing away. I was living in low income housing, dropped out of school, just the whole 9 yards. I was a knucklehead and didn't have a lot of direction. My grandfather was a Marine, and I was like, military, here I come. And it ended up being like the best decision I think I've ever made outside of marrying my wife. It didn't come, super easy right out the gate because I lacked a lot of discipline. And then I just jumped right into a place that was based out of discipline. So I struggled for a while to figure that out and to learn the ropes and to adjust. But once I did, I fell in love with it. And once I really started saying, hey, this is me, this is who I am, and got an identity behind being a soldier, that's when things really took off for me. As he said, I ended up becoming a sniper. And, that alone was a unique story. It was challenging. I throughout my life, I've struggled with belief in myself. So as you can imagine, entering that was one of the biggest tests of belief I had in myself. And I was able to conquer that and learn a little bit about who Chad was, and I think that's really what the military did the most is it taught me what I was really capable of because they don't give you an out, right? Like you have to do it. I can't remember who I was talking to, but civilians call an obstacle course an obstacle course. We call it a confidence course, right? Everything's about confidence. It's about learning who you are, your abilities, and building that belief, not just in yourself, but in your team, right? And so I was able to build on that. Towards the end of my career, I was able to teach, like you said, all four branches of the military. I was able to have the unique opportunity to teach the FBI, U.S. Marshals, which were probably one of my favorite organizations to train because they were some go-getters. They came in just really hungry to learn. A lot of them had some martial arts background coming into the training, and so it was real easy. It was like they were pliable, if you will. So it was just a really cool and unique thing to do. I ended up sustaining a whole bunch of injuries. It started in Iraq. I went off of a roof. I landed head first. I ended up having to have just multiple surgeries, and the Army they were like, "Hey, man, you've served 10 years, you've done a lot for us, but it's time to hang up the hat." And I'll be honest, I was very bitter. I didn't want to get out. I would have done 30 because you have to understand that was for me. That was again, I wrapped my identity around being a soldier, and that was who I was. Now, I wanted to do 30 years, retire as a sergeant major, and say I did it. And those weren't the cards for me. And so when I got out, I went through a very, very dark period in my life. And I think a lot of veterans that I've talked to have faced this. They don't know who they are. They don't know their place in this world. And, I don't know if this is like for everybody else, but for me, PTSD, I had some PTSD and some issues while I was in, but it really hit me when I exited the military. When I exited, it was like free roam in my mind with the demons, right? The demons just came from every angle, and even things beyond military. Like I'm talking from my childhood, like things I thought I had dealt with that were past me, they weren't, and I was not getting a lot of sleep. I was maybe averaging about an hour, 2 hours on a good night. Wow. So I began drinking. And at first, the drinking was just to go to sleep. It was just to try to ease my mind. But I told you guys my mom was a drug addict, and I didn't really factor that into my equation as I was drinking, right? And so the drinking soon became a fifth of whiskey every single day. And that was if I couldn't drink more, right? If I had the opportunity to drink more, I was drinking more. I was so desperate not to have to think and deal with just my new reality and who I was and the demons that I had. I was running from it. I was running from everything. And, I almost lost my wife, and I've been married for 19 years, been with her for 24. She was my best friend. We grew up together, and
yeah.
I didn't go into this, but I have 4 kids. I have 3 of them are special needs. I had a daughter that had a stroke, and I have 2 autistic younger children, and I was losing my connection with them as well. And so my whole world was crumbling, all because I couldn't fix where I was in that situation. And I was using, drugs, and I was starting to smoke weed. I was starting to just anything that could numb my mind. And I was losing everything that was important to me, So I started riding motorcycles, and in 2018, I got out in 2015. So in 2018, I'm riding motorcycles to try to deal with this mindset thing and give myself a positive way out. And it was working. It was a great, what they call it, wind therapy, right? It was really good for me. And this kid not paying attention one night, he was on his phone. I think he was like 18 or 19 years old, man. He was a young boy, and he blew through his red light. And I was making a left turn to get on I-95 South, and he T-boned me. And he blew right through me at 45 miles an hour. He put me into a guardrail, and no one thought I was going to live, but I did. I pulled through, and obviously, because I'm sitting here talking to you guys,
right?
I pulled through, and everything was okay. But I was now on top of all of these demons that I already had. Now I had an extra thing to deal with, right? Not my body was already banged up. Now I just got hit by a car. I woke up in so much pain. So I just doubled down on doing what I was doing, drinking, smoking weed. I didn't really change much, right? 2 years later, in 2020, I decided, hey man, I really got to face this, because I was scared of intersections. Like I didn't want to get in cars. Like I really had some PTSD of the road, man. Like, and so I have this thing where I have to face my fear. So I push myself to face it, and I'm on my bike with 5 other people. How you don't hear 5 motorcycles is beyond me.
Right.
But we're on I-95, and this van in the middle lane going 65 miles an hour isn't paying attention and merges into the far left lane. He hit me so hard that my bike went into the Jersey barrier to the left side of me, and it was like ingrained or implanted into that jersey barrier. It never fell back over, right? It was
Wow.
just boom in there. And I went flying into a construction zone because they were widening I-95 where he hit me. So he hit me. I go flying into this thing, and I had some military guys on the ride with me. And they applied first aid, thank God. But on the way to the first hospital, I flatlined. So I flatlined. They revived me, and then when I get to the first hospital, they realized that my injuries were way worse than what everyone thought they were, and they couldn't really serve me at that hospital. So I had to get transported to a second hospital in Richmond, Virginia, and that was a trauma center. So they sent me to the trauma center, and I had my first surgery. And they even realized at that point that the injuries were worse than what they thought. So the MRIs didn't show everything. So as they opened me up, they realized that they weren't equipped to repair everything. So they had to sew me back up and put me into another surgery. But in between that, I flatlined again. So as I'm waiting to go into the second surgery, I flatlined. And, I end up spending 7 days in the ICU before I could get that additional surgery. And then I had more surgeries after that. But that was just the one I had to have, right out the gate. And so I ended up being in the hospital for 14 days altogether. It was COVID, so no one could come see me. I didn't have a phone because it was on the bike when I got hit. So I was literally, it was me and reruns and annoying nurses, right? That coming in every 2 hours. If anybody's ever been in a hospital, boy, it's like every 2 hours on the dot.
Oh, you just get to fall asleep if you can do that, and boom, there they are.
Yeah. And so it was miserable, and time, like, it became streamlined. Like, I didn't know the difference between 3:00 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, right? Like, it was all the same to me. But I tell people it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because it changed everything in my life. Like, my whole trajectory changed during that wreck. I faced myself. I couldn't drink. I couldn't do anything to numb my mind, right? And I was just stuck. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. I was just stuck there.
Yeah.
And so I had to face the guy in the mirror, right? And I did. And I ended up skull dragging that sucker. And I'm so thankful that I was put in that situation because I conquered me. I dealt with a lot of the things that I didn't want to deal with and I was scared to deal with. And I came out of that hospital room or that hospital period just a different man, right?
I mean, it had to allow you to look within, study yourself, look in the mirror, as we say, right? Because for everybody that out here that knows, I'm a patriot. I wear cowboy boots. I never wore combat boots. So, I can't walk in Chad's shoes. I've walked through some things in my life that would crush a lot of people, but not to that level, right? But, folks, we got to look in the mirror. We're, especially as men, we're taught to compartmentalize, shove it down, put it in a little box, put it down here. Don't worry about it. It's so powerful what you're talking about, where even stuff that when you were a kid came back, right? When Pandora's box opened for you, it sounded like it opened all the way up and came out, like a tidal wave. And, we've got to look in the mirror sometimes. And it's the hardest as hell thing to do. We always say we're tougher on ourselves than anybody else could be, but are we? Yeah, I mean, we'll come up with a million ways to justify. I'm sure, you had a million ways to justify why that fifth the day was right.
Yep. Oh, I did.
It was right and tight. Fifth, couple joints, get it done, go to bed. Right? It became your new normal.
Yep.
So to be able to look into that, I mean, we see that a lot with the veterans that we deal with. They're not all to that level, but a lot of them, man, it wouldn't take much. Yeah. I mean, just right there on the cusp of, it could be a fifth a day. And that's why, we now have the problems that we have with the daily veteran suicide rate, because not everybody, quite honestly, gets the opportunity you did. A bad, horrible situation right there with that. And I'll tell you, from a guy who's ridden motorcycles in the past, have buddies in different states that ride them, I'm here to tell you, folks, loud pipes save lives. They're not trying to be jerks. But, we're texting on our phones. We got our radios cranked up because, we got like a Garth Brooks concert going on inside our car. and people don't pay attention like they used to.
No,
So you hear that bike coming up beside you and he's got some loud pipes. He's just letting you know he's there.
yeah.
He's not trying to be a jerk. He's letting you know he's there. So, pay attention to motorcycles, please. Adopt a rider. I mean, this is a little off topic, but I'm a big proponent of this. Get behind a motorcycle. Don't ride his ass, but get behind him for a couple exits. If like he's, you can see he's getting off somewhere, give him a couple of car lengths, but get behind him so somebody doesn't dive in behind you and get up on his backside. I've just seen way too many accidents with that stuff. I've seen people do stupid things on bikes, see a lot of crotch rockets doing a lot of stupid stuff and sadly become grease stains on the highway. Yeah. But pay attention for their sake, so things like what happened to Chad, things that happened to my dad. We were talking before we started recording this. My dad got plowed by a 67 Pontiac, hit him so hard he still doesn't have hair growing on the right side of his shin, and it dented the bumper. So anybody old enough to know how big a tank a 67 Pontiac was that dented a bumper, that's just unbelievable stuff. I want to take just a quick 30-second break here, and then I want to get back in with Chad and really, Chad, I want you to kind of pick up on so when you started dealing with yourself, right, looking at yourself in the mirror, how you turned yourself around, and to what you're doing today with motivational speaking, and how you're helping your fellow brothers and sisters today. So quick 30 seconds, folks. We'll be right back. All right, everyone, we are back to the Veterans Ranch Show. We have got Mr. Tenacity Chad Osinga here with us today. Very, very powerful testimony, and from a patriotic stick in your chest out standpoint of, God bless America and our military and veterans and everything you did. We thank you for your service for that, and everybody that serves and everybody that's, guarding a wall or standing a post today. Ladies and gentlemen, they're allowing us to do what we're doing here today. So, please, you put something behind. Thank you for your service. Chad's proud just like everybody else, but buy him a cup of coffee, go cut their grass, go do something, right? Don't let them know you're going to do it, because pride won't let them let you do it in a lot of cases. But buy their lunch if you're a Cracker Barrel and you see a veteran. You don't got to take credit for it. You don't got to let them know what's going on. But let's really start putting some nuts behind thank you for your service, so it just doesn't sound like the checkout girl at the grocery store saying have a nice day. Let's really let them know that we truly do care about what they've done. They didn't all have to deploy. They didn't have to be door kickers or the tip of the spear, but less than 1% sign up to wear the uniform, that raise their right hand and say, I'll go, send me, and potentially give their last full measure of devotion for their country. So, please, when you see them, shake their hand, look them in the eye, thank them for their service, and really, really mean it when you say it. I can't say that emphatically enough. We've got Chad's website, MrTenacity.com, scrolling across the bottom of the screen here. Please visit him, visit his website, schedule him for some speaking engagements. So, Chad, where we kind of left off, you were in the hospital, and, you were really looking within and realized you had to, as my dad always kiddingly says, my dad was Navy, okay, 69 to 73. You got to deal with your own shit in your ditty bag. Yep. Right. So, so that's kind of, it sounds like where you were. So let's pick up from there and then carry it into what you're doing today.
Yeah, man. So you're exactly right. I had a whole bunch of shit that I needed to deal with. And when I got out of the hospital, like I was saying, everything from my knee to my pelvis is basically fake. So my femur was completely crushed, my hip, my pelvis. And so I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. Even when I got home, I was just stuck in a recliner basically day in and day out. But again, it was a good situation because I was forced to start looking for things to figure this problem I had out, right? Like I knew I I had changed, but I had to start. I call it mental gardening, right? I had to start going in and taking out some of these roots or some of these weeds and planting in some new things and taking care of this garden, right? And so I stumbled on a guy named Bob Proctor. And I was thumbing through YouTube, not knowing where to go. And I would put in like, self-help and self-development, just whatever. And I stumbled on this guy named Bob Proctor. Had never heard of him. And good old Bob, rest his soul, he changed my life, man. Like he absolutely changed my life. And one person led to the next. He led me into more and more. And I just began to journal every single day. I began to, and with intention. And if anybody reaches out to me, I can give you some direction on journaling. Everybody just says to write things down. That's cool, right? But when you do it with intention, you can actually start dealing with some of the things that you're dealing with and living your life with intention as well. Here nor there, I started doing that. I started meditating. I thought it was woo-woo for a long time before I started on this journey, but I started doing it. And, at first it was like just a couple minutes here. My mind would go all over the place. And so it was like a work in progress. Now I'm at about 30, 40 minutes every single day, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. It's helped me grow so very much. I began to read again, and now I read like a chapter a day, and that started slow for me as well. I started with just a couple of pages every day, grew to 5, and then now I'm at a chapter no matter how big the chapter is, right? And doing those 3 things, like it moved the needle in such a massive way for me. And I started realizing that, the whole purpose of my life was to help people. I've been through a shit ton of stuff since I was young. And I felt like I had another opportunity, and this opportunity was to help other people going through some crazy stuff as well. And so I began to put myself out there once I felt like, because I wanted to be a product of the product. I didn't want to present myself half-assed. So I wanted to get my shit straight before I just said, hey, I'm here to help somebody, right? So then I just started putting my name out there. I started getting invited to be on articles like Authority Magazine. I've been in Authority Magazine probably 7 or 8 times now. Up Journey, just a whole bunch of different ones. And, just telling my story. And it's just taken off from there, man. And now I just rolled out a coaching program where, I bring people through. They can choose whether they want to do 6 months or a 6-week program with me. And we really focus on, making massive, gigantic leaps in not just one area, but every area of their life, and helping them create the life that they deserve, man. Because I'd never thought in a million years I'd be where I'm at today. I mean, I truly am a product of the product. I'm happy. My marriage is beautiful. My relationship with my kids are amazing, right? Like, and it rubs off on them. And that's the thing, fellas. Like, us as men, once we take the torch and run with it, the family follows. They really do. It might take a few days, a few months, but they end up, seeing, because it's pure, right? And when it's pure,
lead by example.
Yeah, man. They follow the lead, man. And, so now I have purpose, and I love it. I help with the kids. I just spoke at a at-risk school for kids, trying to get them while they're young. So I love it, man. I love being able to help people, and it's my life's passion now. So I have a goal of helping 100 million people. And so that's where we are.
Well, we're there with you, brother, to help you fight that fight and keep it going. I'm blessed. I'm a Gen Xer. I'll be 50 here at the end of the year, and I was very blessed at a very young age. We're talking 14 to 16 years old. My dad was taking me to see people like Jim Rohn, Tom Hopkins, Larry Thompson, Les Brown.
Oh, wow.
I love Les Brown. Les says, if you fall down, you better fall on your back, because if you look up, you can get up.
Yeah.
Just amazing stuff, right? And I love when you said write with intention, because when I was young, I heard that. But at 14, you don't understand that. I asked my dad, I said, well, what do I write down? He goes, whatever you feel is important. Well, 14, if my dad's writing it down, it must be important. So I started writing it down.
Yeah.
I kept them legal pads forever, but numerous moves, college, the whole 9 yards, they got lost, but it's stuck up here.
Yeah.
But folks, it's always good to learn what you learned. They always tell you, tell them what you told them and then tell them again and tell them again. Because pre-COVID, it would take 7 touches basically for somebody to make a decision. Whether it's buying a house, buying a car, buying that 1995 product on TV, you had to see it 7 times. Now, post-COVID, with everybody being online, it's 32 touches. So you've got to get your message out there. That's why we're doing what we're doing with the Veterans Ranch, constantly pushing the word out there, because as of this recording on this day, it has been a month since the Fox News article came out about the case study that was done across 8 states, 2 different universities, and another nonprofit that has shown that just between those 8 states, the veteran suicide rate is double what the VA's been putting out.
Yeah.
We've been doing 22 a day push-up challenges. We've been doing all kinds of stuff, and that's great. I've been a part of them too, but we've got to get out in the community. It's kind of like that ice bucket challenge thing. Most people are doing it for clicks and likes and whatever, and they never gave to the thing that it was supposed to be given to help out with. Folks, do the push-up challenges, do all that stuff, but get out there in your community. Whether you support Chad's mission, our mission, tomorrow we'll be doing Project Die Hard out of Paducah, Kentucky. Support somebody's mission that's legit, putting the money in the right place with their heart and boots on the ground and helping veterans. We now have 19 million plus and growing veterans from sea to shining sea. Well, and they're going to need the assistance.
No, let me say this real quick on that note, right? He's talking about clicks and all that. What's really important is relationships, man. If you want to help that veteran, create a relationship with them, whether it's online, in person, your next door neighbor, show them that you give a shit, right?
That's right.
And that goes a really, really long way. I had a buddy that I served with that, committed suicide in the hospital parking lot. And, I replay that all the time. And if I had have just asked some more questions, if I had have been a little more intentional with my time with him and figuring out what was in my relationship with him, had it been a little stronger, I may have been able to prevent that from happening. Right. And so you might be able to prevent it just by being a good soul, creating a good relationship, asking the right questions, and showing that somebody supports them. So,
well, that's the absolute key. It's right on point. I love this because, when you get into the motivational speaking, the positive reinforcement that needs to be more out there, right? We live in this world today. Okay. People used to get carpal tunnel in their wrist. Now they're going to get carpal thumb, right? Because, we just live like this. And, I actually had somebody send me an email that said LOL in it. Stop. Get back to using language. I mean, I've done it from time to time. I ain't going to lie. It's kind of funny. If it's your buddy, it's one thing. If it's somebody you just met on an email introduction for business or whatever, we got to learn how to communicate with people again. It's okay to have civil discourse. It's okay to agree to disagree. That's what makes us all great human beings in this country, is that we can agree to disagree and move on certain things. Not everybody believes in positive reaffirmation. I don't know why, but they don't believe in what you put out comes back to you, because it's proven every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, Chad, you saw that, right? You may not have understood it at the time, but everything that you were putting out there to numb yourself, that's what was coming back to you.
Yes.
And then when you decided to deal with it, now look at what's coming. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me or Chad wrong, okay? It doesn't mean every day in our lives is peaches, roses, and fluffy bunnies because we decided to have a positive attitude. Right. I mean, you deal with stuff to this day, like all of us do.
Look, it's about perspective, right? I think the most successful people in the universe, or in this world, should I say, they, even in the hardest times, they find a way to see it as an opportunity. Napoleon Hill said that for every hardship, there's a seed of equal or greater success or greatness in that net, or positive thing in that negativity, right? we just have to be looking for it because it's a seed. It's not the full grown plant. It's just a seed. But if you're looking for it, it's there because it's proven for every positive, there's a negative. For every negative, there's a positive. So whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. If you choose to be positive and see the opportunities that are around you, that's what's going to be around you. Even if it's a crappy day, right? Like everyone's going to have days that are not as good as the next, right? However, that doesn't mean that there's not opportunity, there's not greatness in that day. It's all about what we choose to see, the angle which we choose to stand and view that day from. So
I mean, that's church right there. I mean, folks, I don't know what else to say. I mean, that I couldn't have said that any better because it is so true. I mean, there are pearls in pig shit. Okay, I mean that's you can find a positive, but if all you and hey, we're all human, right? It's easy to focus on the negative, the woe is me's. Just tuck into your own self pity. I've been there. Okay, I mean, we're all human, but it is truly, it kind of goes back somewhat to, your network determines your net, or your network determines your net worth. Well, it's the same kind of thing in terms of just positive vibes.
Yeah.
If you're around genuine, honest people that will call you out on your own BS and expect you to do the same to them, and not in a negative way, but just be positive and say, hey, maybe this road, maybe that road, get you here.
Yeah.
And that's hard, especially for men to hear.
Yeah.
Because we're charging forward, when sometimes we got to charge diagonally forward to get to where we want to go and then come back, on the path.
Well, I would like to say two things. One, law of focus, right? You said an important word, and that's focus, what we focus on. The law of focus is whatever we focus on expands, right? And you can't focus on two different things at the same time. So you're either focused on the good things, opportunity, success, whatever it is, right? Or the negative, right? My day is shitty. This happened to me when I was, in the military, or this happened to me then, or things you can't even control. It's done with. It's in the books. You can't change it. That was hard for me. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm on this pedestal because I had to go see a doctor in the VA, right? I was stuck in a revolving door of things that happened in my past that I wish I could have changed, that I couldn't change, that I felt responsible for. But let me tell you something. You're not responsible. Everything happens for a reason. You're here. Everything happens to us, right? Or for us, not to us. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Everything happens for us, not to us. And so things happen. They're over. It's time to extract the value out of that and move forward into right now, into today, because that's all we have is right now. The second thing that I think that I really want people to understand is that, what we believe, right, plays a big factor into how we're going to perform. You can't outdo your self-worth, right? Like what you believe about yourself. So if you believe that you can't, you never will, right?
Henry Ford.
Yeah, Henry Ford. Think of any successful person, Elon Musk. When Elon Musk shot that rocket up and it blew up years ago, there was an interview and he was like, "Did you ever think about quitting?" And he said, "No." And he said, "Why?" Because I don't quit. I believe in myself, right? He never thought not to continue. Okay. So you'll never outperform what you believe about yourself. So it's time to change that belief system, right? And again, my MrSnasty.com is rolling through the screen. Hit me up. I would love to help you out. But I'm telling you, you're worth more than what you're getting right now. But if you don't change that belief system, you're never going to get it.
Well, that's bottom line. If you look in the mirror, whatever that is, I suck. My dad always told me I never amount to anything. The world needs ditch diggers too. All that kind of stuff. If you take ownership of it, whatever it is, that's what you're going to get. You will be the ditch digger. You might be the best one on the planet, but you're going to be a ditch digger because you don't believe that you're any better than that.
Yep.
Anybody right now can be the next Donald Trump, could be the next Elon Musk. And when I said Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
One of my favorite quotes. Yep.
I'm telling you, here, let's just play it funny. Yoda says you can't try, only do.
Well, look,
Put your head down, move forward.
Henry Ford he was not educated, man. Like that's
No.
what people fail to realize, that there are billionaires and millionaires that they were not they didn't come from a silver spoon. They didn't have education. I mean, when I say education, I'm talking middle school education,
Yeah,
right? Like
6th, 7th grade, and they dropped out to go work on the farm. Yeah.
Right. And they ended up turning all of that around and becoming some of the wealthiest and successful people in the world.
Yep.
Think about what your life would look like if you were living it with no limits. And then let me tell you, I promise you, you can have that, but it starts up here, right? And that's why mindset is so important, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's so important.
Yeah. Every day I will.
Yeah, I will.
You know, even more powerful. You can do it, but you will do it. And have that power of intention every day. You know, I know there's always talks on goal setting and, you know, and everything, but it's legit. Yeah. Write it down. But at the same time, don't set that bar so low that it's easy to hit, because then you're like, oh, hey, I hit it. If you set a goal so high, you know, it's kind of the old thing of shoot for the moon and hit a star.
Yeah.
Put that goal up here. Because if you hit here, you're probably still doing pretty damn good. But if you hit the goal, holy shit, you know, you've probably changed the world.
Look,
you know, that's what we're trying to do with equine therapy. This isn't a new idea, but we know that there is a dire need right now for what it is we do. Yeah. So every day from dawn to dusk, you know, I mean, by the time sun comes up, I'm on the third cup of coffee. Why? Because that's what it takes to get the job done. That don't make me any more special than anyone watching this today. I'm not going like this, but I understand that you got to have that Army mentality. If we get more done before 9 a.m. than most people do in a day. Yeah. Early bird gets the worm. You gotta push it. Yeah. You know, so whatever dreams y'all got out there, especially veterans transitioning out today, that, you know, guys like Chad, where I've talked to so many people, you hang up the uniform, now what? Because they, right? I mean, what your transition was what? Hey, here's your DD-214, bye.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to some guys, they got to wear civilian clothes, you know, they got to wear civvies for a couple of weeks, bye. You know, the military does their job very well of breaking young men and women down, building them to be what they want them to be, and go get the bad guy, right? Or be that support structure to help that person go get the bad guy. Honestly, it's not their job to teach you what to do when you get out. They want to keep you in. Yeah. But for everybody out there, you know, reach out to, you know, we'll help you with horses and everything else. But we're so proud to have Chad as part of our network of people you can reach out to, because again, he wore the combat boots, folks. He was the door kicker. He was there. He can help you with anything you're dealing with today and help you get to that new and improved version of yourself.
Yes, sir. And let me say this real quick. When it he talked about goals, and it's real important that you understand that Bob Proctor talks about A type, B type, and C type goals, right? A type is what we know we can do. B type is what we think we can do. If everything goes right, you know, you get the plan, and if everything we figure it out, this will happen. C type goals are like your fantasy, right? It's like that's where we need to be setting our goals. It's C type goals. And we have this misconception of what a goal is used for. The goal is there to help you grow. Money, a good relationship, all that's a byproduct of the goal. The goal's main purpose is to help you grow. Right. And the reason that you're struggling so much, and the reason why the past is haunting you, is because you're not growing. You're literally chained to it right now. All right. And so until you're able to set these goals so you can grow and get past it, you're gonna struggle with the same stuff.
Bottom line, I mean, it just keeps coming, you know, definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You know, Les says you got to stretch yourself. Yeah. You know, you got to get out of that comfort zone. I had somebody say something to me the other day. I was in a networking group, and it was the best thing I'd heard in a long time. Stop trying to think outside the box. There's no boxes.
I like that.
There is no boxes. Yeah. You have no limitations as to what you can do. You know, right. The human mind, you barely use 2% of the human mind power. You know, get rid of the box. Take the eraser, get rid of the boxes, and start thinking about what you know you can do. And don't let people tell you no. Use it as fuel if they do, because sometimes your own family will come at you and go, that's the dumbest idea I ever heard.
Yep.
Fucking A, use it as fuel. Yep. You know, move forward. Maybe it is a dumb idea, but it might be the most successful dumb idea on the planet. And who knows? And hey, some of the biggest millionaires on the planet failed 2 or 3 times before they got to the big one. Sometimes you got to fail your way to success.
Edison did it 10,000 times. So
right.
How many people told him that he was dumb?
Yeah. He knew a lot of ways not to make a light bulb. That's for sure.
But, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but we all know how to do it. But Chad, I really want to thank you for being on the show today. This is absolutely awesome. Man, we probably need to do a part 2 of this just because of how much stuff, we can cover. Everybody, please, if you like the content here today and like what we're talking about constantly, like, comment, share, subscribe on all of our social media channels, especially our YouTube page. Please do the same thing for Chad. They can pretty much find you everywhere on socials as Mr. Tenacity.
Yep, or Chad Osinga, one or the other.
Either way, man, find him, like him, friend him. As you can tell, super honest, genuine guy that just loves what he does. You can hear the passion coming right through. Folks, we always talk about, things that are going to help move this mission forward. So again, if you like what we're doing, you like this podcast, you like animals, or you just like veterans, in general, and you're proud to be an American and realize it is because of the 1% that are active duty today that'll someday be a veteran, or current veterans that allow us to do what we do. Go to theveteransranch.org and, make a pledge today. It could be a one-time, could be a monthly. Every dollar helps. We just ask people to give a buck about veterans, right? And that's a play on words because you've heard us curse here today. We ain't shy about it. But, give a buck. I mean, if 1 million people gave $1 right now that are watching this, watch us change the world of the veteran community. You don't have to be the giant check writer. We love those too. But, something with 2 commas in it, you can come our way. But, the bottom line is, folks, it's the grassroots. It's you, the American loving people out there that help keep things like this going so we can bring on great guests like Chad every time that you're watching the Veterans Ranch show. Again, I want to thank you, brother. Any words, pearls of wisdom you want to leave us with here today?
Well, 1, thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. 2, look, give to this organization. I started giving to it. I do the monthly pledge. So I'm not just sitting here telling you to do something that I don't do myself, right? Like, I'm a veteran and I'm still giving to this because there's other people that need this and can benefit from this. And if you could understand how much trauma some of these guys have gone through and how much help they really need and how set free they are, man, you're going to spend $21 or whatever. What is, I don't even know what the monthly is.
22 a month, whatever you can give, man. And
right. 22 a month.
Spend more at McDonald's.
Right. Give more, but you'll spend more at McDonald's or getting your Starbucks in a week. Right. So why not use that towards saving a life? Because literally you're saving a life. And the last thing I would leave with everybody is that it's within you. Everything that you need, everything that you're looking for, it's found on the inside, man. You keep searching for your answers in other people and outside of you, you're going to continue to be lost, right? Look inside, it's there.
Amen. Couldn't say it any better. Again, man, that's church right there. Chad, thank you so much again for being on here today. All our family friends out there on the Veterans Ranch show that support us, thank you so much. And as we always say, we love y'all. God bless. Take care. Giddy up.